Good morning, everybody. Good morning to all our friends on Facebook and on YouTube. In this week's Parsha, we have the end of the 10 plagues, the last 3 of the 10 plagues, the locusts, the darkness, and the death of the firstborn. And then we have, that's it, the Jews are going out of Egypt. And if we remember in the Haggadah, there's a phrase in the Haggadah that says, "V'chol hamarba l'saper b'yitzias Mitzrayim harei ze meshubach." The more one speaks about the redemption from Egypt, the more praiseworthy they are. Harei ze meshubach. There are many different ways you can, I guess, translate that word. Meshubach means fine, refined. But I once heard a great idea from one of my rabbis. He said, why is it that the more you talk about Mitzrayim, the more you talk about the redemption from Egypt, the more praiseworthy you are? So I think it's like this. You see, we constantly, we mentioned this so many times here in our classes, we have so many miracles that we experience every single day. And many of those miracles, we don't even realize that they're miracles. Till, God forbid, something happens, we fall, we hurt ourselves, we suddenly realize the value of the miracle that we experienced every single day. Now, we many times sign it off as being just ordinary or regular because everyone has it, so it's not something special when I have it. But the truth is that even the ordinary is a miracle. And what we see in Egypt is we had something extraordinary. Because this wasn't just that the Jewish people were let go of their bondage, of their slavery, but this was a public revelation of God's presence in our midst. This is where the Jewish people saw the hand of God in every step of the way. And that's something that the more we talk about, the more we will realize that God is in every single part of every single area of our day. God is everywhere. And if we realize that God is everywhere, we become more uplifted, we become holier, we become elevated, we become more blessed. So what our sages are telling us is that Kol hamar b'lisaper b'yitzias Mitzrayim. The more you talk about the redemption from Egypt, harei ze meshubach, you become better. You become more praising of God. You become, because you start realizing, wow, there's so many miracles that the Jews experience, and to talk out every single detail. There are people who I know who act out all of the plagues at their Seder. Still do that? Yeah?
In a different way, in rap now.
Right, so they act out every single plague into great detail. The idea that we can actually realize that God is performing miracles today like He did then. We just have to open up our eyes and recognize it. The more we recognize those miracles, the more we'll see that those miracles exist within us today. And it's not something just of the past. It's not something just of, oh, back then when the Jews were leaving Egypt, then we saw miracles, but today we don't see any miracles anymore. Of course, today we also see miracles. Today there are miracles, and we need to open our eyes to it, because the more we open our eyes to the miracles, the more we realize how blessed we are. And that's what Meshubach means. It means that we are blessed. We are blessed because we recognize those miracles. So, there's still a lot to talk about between now and the end of next week's Parsha, which is the end of the Exodus of and the splitting of the sea and the Jewish people standing at Mount Sinai. But I wanted to make sure that at the beginning of it we can talk about the importance of discussing the great detail of the Exodus from Egypt, the 10 plagues, each of these miracles. And when we're sitting by the Seder in a couple of months, try to make it as real as possible, especially for our children, to realize that this was a real live experience where the Jewish people saw the hand of God in a way that no one ever saw it. And that's why in many of our prayers we have Zecher L'Yetziat Mitzrayim, in remembrance from the Exodus from Egypt, for the remembrance of Exodus of Egypt. We have so many mitzvahs that are dedicated to this one revelation. This whole experience was one entire revelation of God, where God showed His hands in every single area of creation. And we constantly have to remind ourselves that when we do the mitzvah of tefillin, and when we put on our tzitzit, our talit, right? And when even Shabbos, Zecher L'Yetziat Mitzrayim, we have, it's all a remembrance for when the Jewish people went out of Egypt. And the more we live that, the more we realize that God is real, and that it's a real living experience. It's not something of history. It's not a Memorial Day, and we get a day off of work. It's a day of really moving into the zone of experiencing the Exodus. That's what Pesach is. And the more we can talk about it, the more praiseworthy we'll become more blessed, because we will realize all the blessings that God gives us. Hashem should bless us all with a beautiful Shabbos, and we should always recognize all of the blessings that He bestows upon us. Have a fantastic day, everybody. Thank you for joining us.